Dexter Henry, Madeline, Kenney here, great women's sports reporter for the New York Post. We're here for another edition of Liberty Lately, and if you're wondering why it looks a little different for us this week, well, we're doing this from the Barclays Center right after the Liberty's big 85-75 victory over the Minnesota Lynx. And Maddie, they beat the Lynx for the first time. We have not seen that all season.
Yeah, first time since Game 5.
First time since Game 5, right? So they're 0-3 this season. They finally get a win. I thought this was huge, and I think the Barclays crowd, they felt that it was huge. Is this that big of a win for Liberty this season?
Definitely, because we've been talking all season about how much they needed to get over this hump, especially with all the injuries that they've had, and they've been kind of feeling sorry for themselves in a lot of ways throughout different parts of the season. And late game execution was a big deal in that Vegas loss and in their most recent Minnesota loss. And so that was kind of a point of emphasis tonight. And I think that this showed that even though they still aren't full strength, they still don't have Isabel Harrison or Breanna Stewart or Niara Sabali. This showed, though, that they have enough to be able to beat the Lynx. And the Lynx are the #1 team in the league. They're the team to beat this season. So I think it's, like you said, it's huge for them.
It was huge. Listen, and look, when you look at this game, and you guys who look back this week at this game, look, everybody's going to talk about the Sab shot, right? 33.8 seconds left.
That's crazy.
She takes that deep three. What's that? It was like
31
feet? It was 31
31
feet away.
footer.
One, I don't want to say it was crazy for her. I'm not saying that, but because it's Sab. We know she can hit the shot. But she hit it and gets the foul. Was that the Liberty's biggest shot of the season?
I think so, yeah. I think that that's very fair to say of this season, for sure. I mean, when she was asked about where it ranks in her top clutch shots, she said, well, the one in Game 3 of last year definitely was higher.
Definitely #1.
But maybe 5 all time. But at any rate, I do think it is. And that point was so important to this team because that was a 4-point swing that really put the game out of reach for the Lynx. That was the dagger 3. And then you had that great inbound pass to KB that was cutting for the easy layup to really put the cherry on top of this game. But, you know, look, I think that this team feeds off of Sabrina. And when she is attacking the way that she is, and she was so locked in on defense too. She locked up Bridget Carlton.
That was an amazing
huge
play. That was huge.
I'm
glad you talked about that.
Yeah.
And she was asked about this in the press conference. I don't remember if it was you that asked this, but someone asked about how much she's improved as a defender, right? And when you saw that play, that also lifted the team almost as much as the 3 did there. And I was really impressed by her defense on Carlson there to lock her up. That was huge, right?
It was, and it was right in front of the Liberty bench, so that adds a lot of excitement to it. I made a joke that she fist pumped so hard that she could have broken a knuckle because of how emphatic it was.
Right.
But no, I think her defense has really evolved. That's one of the things in her game that we have seen over the last 3-4 years really take that next step. And I've talked to her a little bit about it, and she said a lot of it has to do with her conditioning. She says that she's in the best shape of her life. She got a new trainer. She's working with Steph Curry's trainer. And, that commitment to her off-season work, I mean, she started working out 3 weeks after the finals. And even though she had that thumb surgery, she was still working on her conditioning and making sure that she's up to speed with everything. So I think that we're seeing that pay off, especially with her availability this season. She's only missed 1 game.
Right, she's just missed 1 game. She's been tremendous. I mean, look, that shot was huge. I think a lot of the talk, and we'll go to the Liberty schedule going forward here, but a lot of the talk from here, Maddie, is going to be, okay, they got this win, but what does this do for this team? You know, when talking to them after this game, and we go throughout the week, and we'll get to that in a second, but what was the vibes of the team? Do you feel like they also felt like this was a big win for them moving forward?
I think so, because Leo at practice the other day said that there was no ifs, ands, or buts. They were going to win tonight, and they did. So they delivered on that, and I think that there was this kind of sigh of relief, we can execute for a full 40 minutes. We can out-rebound really good teams. We can be locked in on both ends of the floor in the way that they were. I mean, they controlled this game the entire time. And so I think that, it definitely makes them feel like they've taken, some steps over the last few weeks, even though they've had a lot of losses. But, knowing that you did this without Breanna Stewart. Now, Breanna Stewart's going to come in, and she already has that relationship with Emma Bieseman. I mean, it feels like we're starting to see a turning point. It's only 1 game. They have a lot more. They have a few more games left. But I do feel like this was one of those games that you can will point to and be like, that was a turning point.
So you also wrote about this week, and I thought it was great, right? You also talked about the perspective of the talk between the 2 teams, the trash talking that has gone on between the 2 teams, and I mean Minnesota and New York. Just to be clear here, one, I'm going to be clear, I like some trash talking.
Oh, it's great in sports. I love it.
It's great. Now, some people act weird when women trash talk and act as if that's not going to happen, which
Yeah.
is disgusting to me. But I like it for the game. I think it's good that these teams met in the finals. They now can trash talk at this level. What was the sense you got about the Liberty with the talking that they heard from the Lynx? The Lynx, they're able to talk. They won the first 3 games, right?
Yeah.
So they could talk their talk.
Yeah.
Were they bothered by this? And was this the best response? Because you did see some stuff in this game. We can't act like we didn't see some stuff. Number one, post-game. Sab talks to Dominique Patrick, and after the game, who was doing sideline reporting for the broadcast, and when she asked her about the 3, she said it was night-night, right?
Yep.
Love night-night. Great.
Great celebration.
Also, you caught this. I saw you tweet about this too. It looked like Natasha Cloud was waving by. She dribbled out the clock.
Yeah. As
to
Courtney Williams was dribbling out the clock. Yeah.
Listen, I like it. I like it.
Yeah.
I like a little petty. There's nothing wrong with that. Do you like this? Do you get a sense that
I
the
love
Liberty?
it.
Do you get a sense that Liberty were bothered by the talking from the Lynx?
Not at all.
Okay.
I mean, I think they kind of Sabrina, brushed it off as, we have all we need in this locker room. Like, we're not paying attention. We're our own.
They're paying attention.
We're our own. Like, we only worry about ourselves kind of thing. But you know what? I asked Cheryl Reeve about it pregame, and she said that's who Courtney is. And Courtney knows all these players. Like, all these players, women's basketball is such a small world where, when Courtney says, I hate this team, it's not personal. It's all business. I mean, she didn't perform well in Game 5 last year, and I think that's a chip on her shoulder that she carries. And, Natasha Cloud is also a fiery player. So her waving at Courtney Williams, as the clock's winding down late in the fourth quarter, I mean, that's just who Natasha is. That's who Cloud is. And we even saw Sabrina got a little fiery in the fourth quarter. And I think a lot of that is it's good for the game to see those demonstrative celebrations and to see the chirping and the theoretical beefs between teams. I think it's good. It fuels the storylines too, and it makes more people more interested.
Yeah, no, I love it. We need more of it. Listen, we hope, I'm sure both myself and Maddie, I'll let you speak for yourself, but if we get another 7 games this year. Forgot about that with the finals. I almost messed up.
Yeah.
7 games this year between these two teams. We will sign for that right now. I will gladly take that. But
it's more work. But yes, I will take it as being entertained.
I'm glad you pointed that out. That is more work.
No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Not that we love it. We love basketball. We love covering it. Obviously, why we do the show.
Yeah.
So we take it from the context of this game and being a big win from the Liberty, and even if people want to downplay it, it is a big win. But you said it before, it is just one game. We talked about this a couple weeks ago. Trap games can happen too. Next game up on the schedule.
It has all the makings for that.
Chicago Sky on Thursday. Then you have, and this is why it's a trap game, then you have the Atlanta Dream on Saturday. We'll get to why that is big. But first up, the Sky. You heard Jonquel Jones after this game talk about how the team needs to be focused on these final 10 games this season and kick it off with a win here. How important is it to continue this momentum and not have a letdown on Thursday here at the Barclays Center against the Sky?
I mean, I think we've seen this already happen to this team before. They fell victim to a trap game when they were in Dallas the first time this season.
Yep.
They got totally embarrassed in the first half. They looked so unprepared. It was like they were already looking forward to playing Minnesota, which was their next opponent. And so I think it's really important, like you said, not to overlook the Sky. I mean, they do have enough pieces that if, they get hot or they get inside, they can make you pay. And I think, this team, the Liberty, have had issues with lapses. Defensively, we even saw tonight there was some miscommunication, overhelping, underhelping, a little bit of knowing your personnel and knowing when to switch and when not to, and knowing when you have to take over for somebody. And so, some of that's a work in progress for sure, but Chicago, the Sky are a team that are going to make you pay. So I just think that it's really important to not overlook them. As much as it's easy to doubt them because of their record and how this season has gone for them, I think that the WNBA there's too many good players in this league that anyone could go off on any given night.
Yeah, can't sleep on anybody. One of the things I think that's going to be key for this stretch as we close out the season here, right? And we saw it tonight. I wonder if you feel the same way. The leaders stepped up against the Lynx. You had a double-double, game-high 22 points for Jonquel Jones. She also had 10 boards. And it's sad, you talked about how good she was and aggressive she was offensively, not just with scoring the ball, 17 points, but also dishing, right? She had 11 dimes in this game, too.
Yeah.
How important is the leadership on this team to step up right now? I know you also have a column that's coming out about Sab that people will see with this video, but How important is it for the leadership right now as they try to close the season out to step up and have performances like they did against the Lynx?
It's extremely important. I mean, John Quote Jones talked that shit around this morning, saying something along the lines of, you know, when you have an 8-player rotation, which is kind of what the Liberty have been dealing with because of all these injuries, there are times when you look at the bench and you realize, oh, no one's coming to sub me out. Like, no one's coming in for me. And so there's this feeling of wanting to save some in the tank because you're going to need that energy later. And so, but tonight, JJ said that mentality is kind of detrimental to playing at the same time, because if you're saving it for the tank, I mean, you want to leave it all out there. Like, you don't want to have anything left in the tank by the time the final horn rings. And so by doing that, maybe they weren't starting the game as strong as they needed to, or maybe they were taking moments off, in the second quarter, midway through it, or whatever. And so I think today we saw them play a full game. There were very few lapses of focus. There was very few times where you could catch a player taking a play off. And so, I mean, I say very few, maybe none at all, right, honestly. So I think, yeah, it's incredibly important because JJ and Sabrina, and when Breanna Stewart comes back, her too, they all set the tone for this team. I mean, it's very much a follow the leader type thing. And if they're playing hard and they're playing aggressive, people really feed off of that.
Yeah, and I think you really saw it tonight. Tonight was a perfect example of that. And then, look, we didn't even have to hear the E word tonight, Maddie. We didn't hear anything about effort.
Yeah.
We didn't hear any of that from Coach Brondello. We didn't hear any of that from the players. Well, that they liked the effort, right?
Yeah,
that they gave that effort. They liked that. No complaints about it there. Now, talked about it being a trap game. Saturday, and you have the busiest schedule in the world, at least I feel right now.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Maddie just got back home, and then she'll be going down to the ATL on Saturday because that's when the Liberty will play the Dream. This game could be huge because these are two teams that are battling right now for that second and third position in the W standings. The Liberty want to get the highest seed possible. They want to get the number 2 seed here. How important is this game? I'm really looking forward to this game down at the ATL on Saturday.
Yeah, it's going to be, I mean, extremely important. And I don't have the tiebreaker in front of me whether or not this is a tiebreaker game, but it potentially is if I remember correctly.
I think you're correct, yeah.
Yeah, if Liberty loses, they'll be tied in this regular season series, and then it'll go to point differential.
Sure.
But these are two teams right now, as we are talking, that are either in second or third place, or potentially even tied for second.
Right.
Like they are very much on the same spot. And for the Liberty in particular, you don't want to drop down to fourth, because if you drop down to fourth, then you're in the bracket that puts you in position to play the Lynx potentially in the semifinals. And you don't want that. You want to face that team in the finals. And so I think you don't want to drop anymore, but you also want to, maintain your spot as the number 2 seed, so you have home court advantage. There's benefits to that. And so it is an extremely important game for them when it comes down to playoff implications. And also just like we've been talking about, continuing this momentum. Hopefully, maybe Breanna Stewart will be back in that game. I'm not entirely sure. She wanted to be back before her birthday, which is August 27th, if I remember correctly.
Yes.
Yeah. And so, it's going to be so important for them to really execute at a high level in that game.
Yeah, it really is. It's going to be a huge, huge game on Saturday, but they can't overlook the Sky first. You mentioned Stewie. She was on the court this week, right? She was doing some work. So there's a chance she could be back Saturday, maybe not. Do you think that's a good spot to bring her back in a game of that magnitude and importance, or do the Liberty probably want to ease her back against maybe a, putting air quotes here, softer opponent? Do they maybe want to do that?
I don't think you need to worry about Breanna Stewart and easing her back into anything. I mean, easing her back in maybe on a minutes restriction, but, she's one of the best players in the game. So playing a really challenging team like Atlanta, I mean, look, they could use another body in the front court, like another player that can play, especially against that team. I mean, that is a big team. And so, I know we've talked about this in the past. I'm really excited for when Stewie does get back, just because I really want to see that lineup with her, Misamin, JJ, Sabrina, Leo. Like, I just think that lineup can be so good on both ends of the floor. Like, it's crazy. I mean, so that's why, we talk about how maybe the Sky or maybe the Liberty have underperformed in some ways, just because, knowing in context when I say they underperformed,
right,
they have been dealing with a bunch of injuries. Their schedule this month has sucked. They've been on the road as more than they've been home, and they've been playing in these clusters where you're playing like back-to-backs or playing a game every other day. It hasn't been kind to them. But they are 500 since that 9-0 start, and so I think you can say they've underperformed a little bit, but you can never doubt the defending champion. Like, they've earned the right to have, you know, the patience and the grace that this team, and I've talked about this, like, this team thinks that it's going to be able to come together and, like, flip that switch once they're all healthy. So maybe we'll start seeing that in Atlanta. That'd be kind of fun.
Yeah, maybe we will. And that made me think about something we talked about last week here on the show, which was, right, it's not easy to flip that switch in sports. Like, sometimes, and we're even guilty of this too in the media, of maybe talking about it sometimes, like, oh, this can be done. And you know this is going to happen, Maddie. There's going to be some people that are going to look at the win over the Lynx and say, oh, they're back.
Yeah.
Are you willing to say the Liberty are back, or you're like, I need to see a little bit more here?
I think I've learned that I cannot count this team out at any point. A team with JJ, Sabrina, and a healthy Stewie whenever she gets healthy again. So, you know, I'm going to say that they never necessarily left. They've always been in there. They've just been dealt with a really tough, you know, hand of cards with all of the injuries and all the adversity. I know I kind of just said that they underperformed, so maybe I sound contradictory.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean? Like,
no, but underperforming could be like they didn't play to the...
They lost games that they should have won.
Yeah, you know,
and
that's
what
right.
I mean.
Yeah,
And I think that's a fair assessment of this team. And so, you know, I don't think they've ever left. I think that this is a good building block win for them. But it's going to be continuing to put this together because you do want to be peaking at the right time, which is the playoffs.
Yeah.
And this was a step towards that.
It feels like it's a step towards that, yes. So basically what Maddie's saying, and I agree, we need to see a little bit more, right?
Yeah.
We definitely need to see a little bit more out of this team. I think there's reasons to be encouraged.
Definitely
from
encouraged,
tonight.
yeah.
And I think there's reasons and hope for what you said about wanting to see how the lineup comes together. Because, look, we waxed poetic about Emma Meesseman last week. But I've been so impressed with her and how she sort of seamlessly fit in, right? It's been 8 games. She's been in double-digit scoring in every game.
It's crazy.
And she's practiced with what? She did one practice?
One or two? Maybe two?
Like,
yeah.
People, do you realize how hard that is to do, to integrate? Also, how skilled you have to be as a basketball player to be able to do that, right? Like, that's the amazing
Couldn't be
thing
me.
here.
Could not be me.
Yeah, it's hard to just come in a new workplace and say, okay, I'm just going to, you know, be great. That's really hard. But I think to wrap, you know, Maddie, I'll say, yeah, I think you should be encouraged. I think you should be encouraged by this win. Listen, nobody wants to go 0-4 against a team in the season.
No.
They didn't want to do that against the Lynx. They showed the fight. Now, how the rest of this week plays out, we'll
learn more about this team, you know?
Yeah. We'll learn a lot more, right?
Yeah.
Now, I guess I'll wrap on this. If they take care of business against Chicago and they look really good against Atlanta, does that then start to excite you again where you're like, okay, it looks like the champs are playing like the champs?
Yeah, like I need to start preparing for my season to go way into deep
to work
October.
More? To work
yeah,
more?
to work more. But no, I think make up a really good point. Yes, I think for sure. And you know, we've seen in sports so many times different scenarios play out, right?
Yeah.
Where sometimes like a team is the best team all season and then they crumble in the playoffs. Or you see the teams that look like they can't quite get it together and then all of a sudden they excel in the playoffs. I mean, I think about I covered the Warriors in 2022 when they went on that run. I mean, you remember Draymond, Klay Thompson, and Steph Curry played only 11 minutes together that entire regular season. And they got it together in the playoffs.
Yep.
And I think like this team has a lot of similarities in some ways because granted, Breanna, JJ, and Sabrina have played more together, but they've only played 9 complete games together, 191 minutes. And they've appeared in 12 games together, but I don't necessarily count the ones where players got injured as complete games. And so I'm really excited about this team because when those 3 were healthy, this team was unbeatable. When those 3 have played complete games, they're 9-0.
And you want to see that team against this Lynx team. Unfortunately, that won't happen.
Wasn't in the cards for this regular season.
Unless they get to finals, which is a 7-game series, which means a whole lot more work. So that's what we're rooting for to happen. But I think you're right. There's a world where you can see the team getting healthy and you can see them rolling through the playoffs because, yes, they can't drop to 4. I just also want to be clear. They cannot drop to 4. But, like, if they're second or third, they could still be fine.
Yeah.
I think they
totally.
can still be fine. One note I got to bring up, and we were talking about this before, we saw something new at the Barclays Center tonight. Now, for people who don't know, don't come out, Ellie always does her performance. It's great. Ellie added a new wrinkle to her little performance. She had the Jet 2
To Holiday.
And if you didn't see it, it's not like you had to be there. You can find
You
it,
have
I'm
to be
sure.
there, or you have to be chronically online like we are and see it
Yeah.
all over TikTok.
Jet
that
2
trending sound.
It's everywhere. If you're on TikTok, it's everywhere.
Yeah.
You understand? But she put it in her dance routine.
It
I
was
thought it was pretty dope.
iconic. I loved it.
I thought it was great.
Yeah.
You know what? You can find it. I'm sure you can find it on TikTok. Somebody's got it out there.
Definitely, yeah.
I'm pretty sure somebody's got it out there. But look, big week for the Liberty. Big win for them to start this week after they had a disappointing end to their road trip. We'll see what they do against Chicago on Thursday. Maddie will be here. Also, then she will be going to Atlanta. As She's continuously
And then we're going
traveling.
out west.
I forgot about that trip too.
Yeah.
That's 3 games out west, right? We got it's a little San Francisco.
Phoenix, San Francisco, and Seattle.
Look, you're just racking up the mileage here.
Something like that.
Yeah, you know what I'm going to say? By the time we get to mid-September, you're going to be in playoff form because you'll have traveled, you've battle tested, you've done all this.
Yes.
You're going to be good.
Yeah.
It's going to be great. I'm not traveling with as much as Maddie is, so I can't say that.
Yeah.
But we'll see what we'll do next week for Liberty Lately. But we thank you guys for rocking with us. Another great episode. We'll see how things go for the New York Liberty. That is Madeline Kenney, our great women's sports reporter. I'm Dexter Henry. We'll catch you next time on Liberty Lately.